So welcome Shaurya to next episode of another Homo Sapien. Today we are going to talk about you and what can we take away from your journey by getting into Stanford from a normal CBSE board, if I'm right.
Yes.
Okay. So if you can just tell about your journey starting from your high school, even your middle school to Stanford, like in a brief way. If you can just tell about it.
Yeah, sure. I can go about my preparation and like the kind of things I had to, like my difficulties and my journey per se, I would say. Okay, so let me first give you an overview of like the application process. So how the US admissions work is that there are four major parts to it. Number one is your academic grades. So every student is judged upon how they've scored in the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Number two is your extracurricular activities, which is like everything that you do inside or outside of school except your academics. And number three is your standardized testing, like the SAT, ACT, your subject test, and all of those kind of tests that each and every student has to give. And number four is the essays that you write. These essays are based on different prompts given by each and every university. So now to give you some aspect of, now that I've given you an overview of the process as a whole, like I was honestly, I would say I was a very proactive student since grade 8th, and I was on top of everything that I was doing, and I was very enthusiastic about learning new things and stuff like that. But till actually the end of 10th grade, I did not know anything about foreign admissions or even the fact that I wanted to go abroad for my education.
All right. So you didn't start the thing by getting a goal in your mind that you want to go, but you were just naturally a curious student who want to learn everything in it. Like
yes. So let me elaborate on that. So what happened was that in 9th and 10th grade, so I participated. Let me start off. So my journey started off with this competition called the TYE, the Young Entrepreneurs Competition, where it was like a business plan competition where my team and I created a vertically integrated startup to help increase the income of farmers. And after that, I participated in this another social work competition to reduce, recycle, and reuse the waste in Delhi NCR. So all of these activities, along with my academics, really broadened my horizon, and they helped me understand that there's a lot more to this world than just academics, which was taught to us in school. And I was very proactive, and I would say I was very engaged with everything that was happening in school. And once I finished my 10th grade, it was like I spoke to a bunch of my friends and my teachers, and everybody told me that like there is something like you could go abroad for your education. And like they said, the kind of things they look for is an all-rounded student. So let me elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, please.
So an all-rounded student basically means someone who is trying to balance all the activities, like along with your academics, your extracurriculars, and doing things they love. Like I mean, at the age of in your class 10th, you don't really know what you love, but you just try to do whatever the heck you can do, right? So that's what I was doing.
It's actually about the life. You cannot just sit and get the things come to you.
Yes.
Right? If you feel around to do something, just do it, right? So that's what, like, that came naturally to you. What was the difference between you and the other maybe 40 kids that we usually have in our class? So what was the main key difference? Because you said that the teacher said it to you, not to everybody else. I'm supposed.
I mean this was something that was obviously like it was not that specific, but per se, yes, I spoke to a bunch of my teachers and my friends and even my parents. And I would say, like, partly it was because I was that engaged throughout my 9th and 10th grade that I looked more into these opportunities, and I was given some amount of focus. Like obviously everybody was given this information, but it was not like I mean obviously I was very proactive at that point of time, but it was mostly because I was doing all of this, and the teachers could see that this boy or like this individual could be the right fit for this kind of education, or like whatever the process is, right?
So you started your education by focusing on your whole personality rather than just the education part, and you did it unconsciously at that point of time, but now it looks like to me that you're much more clear to the whole soul personality. Like because many of the students that I've seen till high school, they are like just focusing on the academics, like there is nothing else. Maybe some sports, but not too much serious about it. So you were doing it just unconsciously because you have this natural tendency to like work on everything that you're curious about.
Not really.
Or like, so I just want to know, like, is it just the hard work that you did, like unconsciously because you just like it, or is that like the natural talent? Because there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, yes and no. So my answer, sorry, do you want to continue?
yeah, please.
Okay, so yes and no. That's what my answer would be. Yes, I worked hard, but at the same point of time, I was very privileged to have like a great support system. Like my parents, my all of my relatives, all of these people were very engaged while like my brothers and I, all of us were growing up. My parents really motivated me to just go out there and do something, because they were like, okay, yeah, why don't you go to this competition, or why sorry, why don't you go and attend this workshop? And obviously as a 9-year-old, it didn't just struck me that, oh, I want to do all of this. It was my parents and it was my family per se, and I would say that I'm really grateful for them, because these guys helped me to like explore such new things at such a young age. And I feel that is like one thing that really went forward for me. I won't comment on what happened with like what others were thinking or the situation of others, but per se for me it was a lot of that was driven by my family, that them saying that, oh yeah, this is a theater competition, go ahead with it, or like give some more time to this rather than just like focusing on your academics. And that's how it all started.
Do you have some middle school friend that you're still in touch with?
My middle school friends, yeah. So
I just want you to think like, is there a connection between that you can think about? You know, they were thinking this and I was thinking this. That's why there's a key difference. You know, if you can just think in that perspective.
At such a young age, like at that point
now,
yeah, okay, yeah.
When you look back.
Yes, now that I look back, I would say yes. It was, for me, it was a lot more about just like trying to, I would say that I've always been this kind passionate about like just like exploring new things. And just like going out there, and I feel like if I've like, for example, found anything new, like what I literally do is I go ahead with it and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pursue this opportunity till the time I find like a door that I'm not able to, like a problem that I'm not able to solve, and I'll try to do that till the time I can. And like I feel like my school as a whole gave me that opportunity too. And like all of those students, like I would say the key difference was that I was put into all of this like very early, so I also recognized that, oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. Like as like a 15-year-old or a 14,
so for a parent, like this is a thing, like you can say just let your kids try the things.
100%. And I feel like that helped my personality grow a lot. And till the time I got to grade 11th, I was a lot more accustomed to a lot of things. Like for example, like I had to miss a lot of classes in my 9th and 10th grade, and as all of us know, 10th is very important. Like grades matter, not just for like your college admission, but just for yourself too, right? For your self motivation and stuff like that, and in order to know like the key concepts. So what happened was that I had to balance my academics. Like for example, if I missed like 3 periods in one day, I had to go home, work harder for that in order to actually have the fun, or like pursue the things that I wanted to, right? And I feel like that kind of a practice that went on not just for one day or a week, but for months, actually made me a hard worker, in like not in a very conscious way, but unintentionally it just became my nature.
Makes sense. And it seems like it was not so much hard for you to even try for Stanford or maybe some Ivy League college. But like it came naturally to you, like it was not so much hard because the acceptance rate is very low. So one should prepare himself consciously. Like how would you suggest it?
Okay, so
when should one start it? Like at what age or like something like that?
I mean, I can totally. Let me go through that. So what basically happened, obviously the journey was not easy for me to, and like we can get into like my journey a bit after this. But like ideally it's anybody who is in grade 10th, like at this point of time, because there is like grade 10th have board, and what really has happened is that grade 10th board results really matter. So essentially, obviously, you've got to be very, very attentive in class and like get 10th grade grades. But in order to prepare like very specifically and to have like specific focus on like your on like your extracurriculars, I would say start of grade 11, because that's when I did too. And like when my parents and I, we guys actually went to like different counselors and stuff like that to get to know the system, because my school was very CBSE oriented, and there were not that many and like that's the case with all of us Indians, that we don't have that many resources to actually go out there and to learn about like this kind of a process, because for like 90% of the students, 95% of like students in any average Indian school more or less get into an Indian college and they go there.
I think
yeah. So I mean, I'm just talking in rough numbers. Please take my word with a grain of salt. But just like not literally, but metaphorically, that's like my aim of telling that most of the students go to Indian colleges, right? So what happens next is that so that's what happened, and that's when I would not say like a targeted approach towards it, like, oh, I want to get into like the Ivy League colleges, but it was like, so it was a lot more about like pushing myself, because I knew that there were people out there who were doing the same. Like for example, okay, so let me give you some perspective about this. So Stanford accepts about 2,000 kids. Like I'm just going to talk about my college because that's where I go. So Stanford accepts 2,000 kids, and out of them only 200 are international students. So that's a 10% international rate, out of which like the acceptance rate is 4%, and it decreases into half for international students. And if you apply for the regular round, not to boast, but it's actually 1%. It's 1 in 100 kids. And what really happens is that when I was told about this fact, I was just like blown away by how competitive and how hard it is to get in. And that's when I was like, I started pushing myself harder in like for example, I right now I feel like I love finance, and like stuff like finance, entrepreneurship, social work. Like these were like the 3 main key aspects that I was really interested in. So what I did was basically I went deeper into this. Like for example, I got the privilege of going to the Wharton Summer School, which is like the summer program that happens.
When did it happen?
So yeah, I'll get into that. So that was the summer of my 11th grade, I think. Yeah, so 11th grade summer I went there, and that's where my eyes really opened. I met so many kids from across the world. Like a lot of them were from India, Bangalore, Bombay, China, the United States, Abu Dhabi, all of these different countries. And these were people who were really active. These were people who applied themselves, got into this competitive program, and at the same point of time were doing really different things. Like I had friends who were doing startups, people who were doing podcasts and stuff like that. So and that's when my horizon really opened, in terms of like that, not only the fact that how competitive it is, and that I am like literally around these people who are already thinking about getting into these colleges, but also the fact that this world is so huge and there is so much that all of us can do.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So getting onto the one of the practical questions that many of the people have in mind, like about the finances, I'm pretty much sure like if you go there without scholarship, they have a huge it's a huge burden on your pocket, right? So I wouldn't ask about the exact amount of fees that you're paying right now. I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but but do you think is like someone from a middle class family can even think about those Ivy League colleges? And are there any scholarships? Like how hard it is to get a scholarship, like stuff like that?
Okay, yeah. So I would say, so let me get into like the details of this, because this is like the practical question that really matters. As you know, it's like super expensive to go to these kind of schools, and like without a scholarship, it's very hard for actually any average Indian to go. So what happens is that there are 2 kinds of universities in the US. One are which are known as need blind, and the second one are need aware.
Okay.
So let me elaborate a bit more on that. So need blind are schools colleges where you apply, and they do not look at how much fees you will give them or like the amount of scholarship you need. They'll be like, okay, we're going to judge you just as an individual, and and what happens is that if you get in, they'll give you as much scholarship as you need. Okay. So like the year when I went to,
can you name some?
Yes, I'll name some. So the year, let me just complete this. So the year that I went to Stanford, I had a friend who went to Harvard on a 100% scholarship.
Wow.
So there are only 4 colleges in the US which are need blind for international students.
Wow.
That is Harvard, MIT, Yale, and Amherst College. Okay. And these are the 4 where they do not look at your financial status or the amount of scholarship you need or you don't need. They only look at the individual as a standalone applicant. Whereas all the other colleges in the US, including Stanford is a need-aware colleges for international students per se. So how this process takes place is that there are multiple piles that are there. So if you are planning to pay the full fees, you go into X pile. If you plan to get like any kind of scholarship from like 10% to like 100%, you go into a separate pile. And what really happens is that they take that decision of you getting in or no also on the basis of this, because a lot of the US universities are need blinds, as I said, that they don't look at the financial status for national students. So they've got to take that into consideration. And so this other pile, what happens is that like they could offer you admission, but they could not offer you, like if you need like 90% scholarship, they might only offer you 50%, or they might offer you nothing, or like all that you need, like 100% for a lot of kids. So this is how like the aid process, it's called, like the scholar, like there are aid process works. Also, to give you a bit more on that, there are two kinds of scholarships, which are the merit scholarship and the aid, like the financial aid. So merit is basically where you apply as a normal candidate and they give you, like for example, a presidential scholarship, like, and which is something that I received from like a few universities. But the other is financial aid, which is you apply that yes, I cannot afford these colleges and like the fees of this specific college or like as a whole, and then they're like, okay, this is a percentage that you can pay. Obviously you have got to give your financial details and all of that, so that they can take that into consideration, like your ITR, and then they calculate, okay, this much aid is what you need, and need blind will obviously not look at it, and need based will look at it, and like as like a,
how hard it is to get a scholarship?
Insanely hard. Like not gonna lie, I think this year at Stanford I think I know one or two children who got who got aid from Stanford. I know a few who got other scholarships, like who got other scholarships to go to Stanford or other universities. But per se, what happens in all of these competitive universities is that you'll have like 3 or 4 kids from India who'll go, and one might be someone who gets financial aid, 1 or 2.
Wow.
To the need-based ones. Obviously, need blind, it's like whoever gets in, right?
So it depends a lot of your preparations that you start doing maybe when you're 14, 15, somewhere in the lower high school, or
Yes, I would say, like, obviously
prepare as soon as possible.
I mean, you don't want to put burden on like kids who are in 9th or 10th grade per se, like just to like, oh, you have to get grades. But per se, it's very essential at the same moment to understand that grades are important. Like, it's not like academics don't matter, and I like fully promote the fact that people should like study as hard as they can, because I do the same thing. But at the same point of time, it's like you don't want to you want to work smart, you don't want to work hard, right?
All right.
So till the time you believe you have like all the concepts in place and you can like, you're a good test taker, I feel you should study. But at the same point of time, that balance is very essential. Like in 10th grade or even in 12th grade, I was really stressed because it's like board exam. Like I didn't have boards in 10th, but still it's like it's an important grade, right? So to get scores in that, like get marks in that was really essential for me. So for some period of time, I had to stop all of these extracurricular activities because that's the need of the hour. And like students today need to understand that it's not just one extreme or the other, and it's very essential to maintain a balance.
Okay, so you're on the more on the balance side.
Yes.
Not into like getting too much of a one thing that you.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Makes sense. You have spent like almost 1 year there now.
Yes.
So how was the 1 year? Is it like really worth it to take so much like preparation? You know.
Yes.
So is it really worth it? How was the first year?
100%. Like I feel like it was an amazing year. Like let me get like I would say that what really happened with me was that it was this kind of a work hard, play hard culture where you get to meet like the pioneers in your field, like whatever you want to study. Like I took classes in sociology, cryptography, finance, economics, all of these subjects, and you get to meet professors or even like visiting professors who are practicing professionals who are like the top in their fields. And what happens is that along with that, you also have your friends, and Stanford as a whole is known for how happy their students are in terms of like what great kind of a balance each and every like the university kind of like brings. So I was really happy with like my social life. At the same point of time, I was following my passion and exploring the new kind of stuff. Like for example, I feel like I want to do finance right now, and Stanford gave me this great platform to meet a lot of these professors, actual VCs, and like even like hedge fund managers who I was able to talk to. And at the same point of time, the environment is not just like great to like party or to make friends, but also these people.
But it is.
Sorry.
It is like.
I mean, yeah, in the sense that like it's not just great to do that, but like it's very appreciating and very motivating in whatever you're doing. People like I thought when I was going to Stanford, that's going to be super hard. Like it's going to be all focused on academics. You've got to get the best grades, stuff like that. But it's not like that. Everybody wants that. Do whatever makes you happy.
Wow, I love that concept. Like I was gonna say that because when you said like Stanford wants their academic people to be happy, not just their students, their professors. So that is something I feel lacks in most of the education system, like the normal education in the Ivy Leagues and the normal education colleges that we have. So I'm sure you must be having a lot of Indian friends that are learning in Indian institutes. So when you talk to them, do you see that difference, like what's there and what's
so
and like there's one more thing, by connecting more, like networking more. So I'm pretty much sure that I have seen the difference because I know you from 1.5 years now, somewhere around that, and I've seen that difference, and it's I believe it's just by connecting to more like-minded people.
I feel like the key aspect of that is people who are passionate about what they're trying to do. So it's not like I'm meeting more people who are interested in finance, entrepreneurship, building startups, but it's just different people. Like I have friends who are trying to become doctors, people who are trying to join think tanks for policy making. But the great part about this is that we guys share this one great culture of like thinking on our feet and just like trying to brainstorm ideas together and just like trying to do whatever makes us happy at that point of time.
Super good.
And that is something like I would like to be very honest and brutally honest with you. Like when I was in India, it was all about checking all the boxes, doing this, doing that at all points of time. But what I realized when I went there was that the system was built a lot around the fact that understand what your priorities are, understand how much time you have, and then try to divide it in a manner that you stay happy, and at the same point of time you're able to pursue what you want. Like for example, I've been trying to learn more about venture capital, and it's not and I've been seeking that like very intentionally. And what happened was that I've been talking to my friends who are in entrepreneurship, or just people who have ideas at that point of time. And Stanford gave me the platform to actually go out there and meet like one of the biggest venture capitalists in the world.
Wow.
That is just like the...
You guys, if you have watched this video till here, I just want to say, like, first of all, I'm sorry because of the technical glitches. My memory card got full while I was recording this video. So I'm really sorry that you couldn't watch the rest of the video. But I'm pretty much sure the 22 minutes or 23 minutes that you have just watched is so much valuable to you, especially if you're going to apply for the Ivy League colleges like Stanford and everything else. But what my key takeaway from the video was, like, the guy, like, he's my friend and he's so hardworking at one thing that he feels like he really believes in. That was my key learning from the whole video. You just focus, hard work, put in the more work, and do not ever hesitate to ask from the people that have achieved what you want to achieve. So that was my two key takeaways: hard work and don't hesitate to ask ever. What was yours? Write down in the comments.